Thunder cracks over the endless prairie, and 3 women huddle under a twisted tree, their faces bruised, their eyes burning with fear. Clara clutches a bloodied cloth, her voice a fierce whisper. They left us to die, but I swear we'll make them pay. The wind howls, carrying their secrets into the night. Out there in the heart of Lakota land, something watches, something waits. How do 3 broken sisters, betrayed by their own blood, find hope among strangers? And what hidden truth will change their fate forever? Stick around, because this story will grip you until the very last moment. Reborn. Picture a land that stretches forever, a sea of golden grass swaying under a restless wind. It's 1878, and the prairie is both a dream and a nightmare. Beauty hides danger here. The sun burns hot, the nights freeze cold, and the earth tests every soul who dares to cross it. This is the home of the Lakota people, stewards of the land who move with its rhythms, guided by a wisdom as old as the stars. But for 3 sisters, this place is about to become a crucible, a test of heart and will that will change them forever. Meet Clara, the eldest, at 28, with eyes that see through lies and a spirit that refuses to break. She's sharp, tough, the kind of woman who can mend a shirt with a steady hand or stare down a storm without flinching. But years of abuse have left her wary, especially of men. Her husband Elliot never saw her as a partner, only a tool to cook clean and carry his burdens. Clara learned long ago to trust no one but herself, and now as she stands on this endless prairie, that lesson burns deeper than ever. Then there's Lila, 25, the gentle one with a heart that still aches for kindness. Despite the cruelty she's known, her husband Marcus struck her too many times, leaving bruises on her skin and shadows in her soul. Lila's hands tremble when she speaks, but there's a quiet strength in her, a need to find purpose, to prove she's more than the pain she's carried. She clings to her sisters, her only anchor in a world that feels ready to swallow her whole. Nora, the youngest at 20, is a spark of defiance, even now. Her wide eyes still hold a flicker of hope, though it's been battered by heartbreak. She once believed in love, in the soft promises of her husband Caleb. But those promises turned to ash, and now Nora's curiosity drives her, a restless energy that pushes her to question everything. She's the one who looks at the horizon and wonders what's beyond, even when fear pulls at her heart. These 3 sisters, bound by blood and survival, are far from home, caught in a westward journey that promised a new life, but delivered only pain. Their husbands, Elliot, Marcus, and Caleb, are men carved by the prairie's harshness. To them, a wife is property, a burden to be used until it breaks. The sisters followed these men across miles of rough land, cooking their meals, mending their clothes, enduring their tempers. But now, something darker brews a plan that will shatter everything they've known. It starts with a whisper in the night. Clara, restless by a dying fire, hears voices from the men's camp. She creeps closer, her heart pounding, and catches Elliot's cold words. They're weak. We'll take the wagon and leave them to the wolves. The words hit like a blade. Marcus nods, his face hard, while Caleb shifts uneasily, but says nothing. They've decided the sisters are dead weight, slowing their path to riches in the west. The plan is simple. Take the horses, the supplies, everything, and leave the women to the mercy of the wild. Clara's blood runs cold. She slips back to her sisters, her mind racing. Lila stirs, her face pinched with worry, and Nora bolts upright, sensing danger. Clara tells them everything, her voice low but steady. Lila's eyes widen, her breath catching. They wouldn't, she whispers, but Clara's silence says otherwise. Nora clenches her fists, her voice shaking. We trusted them. The truth settles like a stone. Their husbands, the men they vowed to stand by, are ready to abandon them to die. They decide to act not with a reckless plan to steal horses, but with a desperate plea for mercy. Under the pale moonlight, they march to the men's fire, their shadows long against the grass. Clara steps forward, her voice cutting through the night. We heard you. If you're leaving, give us a chance. Leave us food, a horse something." Her words are bold, but there's a tremble beneath them, a hope that reason might win. Elliot laughs, a cruel sound that echoes across the prairie. "You're nothing without us." He spits, his eyes glinting with contempt. Before Clara can respond, his fist swings, catching her jaw. She stumbles, tasting blood, but stays on her feet. Marcus grabs Lila, shoving her to the ground with a force that makes her gasp. Nora screams, lunging at Caleb, but he drags her back, his grip bruising her arms. "You're staying here," he mutters, avoiding her eyes. The men move fast. They untie the horses, load the wagon, and tear through the camp, taking every scrap of food, every tool. Clara scrambles to her feet, shouting after them, but Elliot turns, tossing a torn blanket at her. "Good luck," he sneers, climbing onto the wagon. The wheels creak, the horses snort, and the men vanish into the night. Their fires glow, fading with them. The sisters are left with nothing but the blanket, the stars, and the howling wind. Clara wipes blood from her lip, her jaw throbbing. Lila sits in the dirt, her hands pressed to her face, silent tears streaking her cheeks. Nora kneels beside her, her fists clenched, staring at the horizon where the men disappeared. The prairie stretches around them, vast and merciless, its beauty now a cruel joke. They have no food, no water, no shelter. The cold seeps into their bones, and the weight of their betrayal presses heavier still. But Clara refuses to break. She pulls Lila to her feet, her voice firm. "We're not done yet. We're alive, and that's enough for now." Lila nods, her eyes hollow but trusting. Nora stands brushing dirt from her skirt, her defiance flaring. "They'll regret this," she says, her voice sharp. The sisters huddle together, the torn blanket draped over their shoulders, their breath visible in the chilly air. They know the prairie doesn't care, that it will swallow them if they falter. As dawn creeps over the horizon, painting the grass in soft amber, Clara looks to the stars, her mind drifting to a story she heard long ago. A trader once told her about the Lakota, a people who see the earth as a living spirit, who move with its heartbeat and honor its gifts. "Maybe it'll spare us," she murmurs, half to herself. The words feel like a prayer, a fragile thread of hope in a world that's turned against them. The prairie is quiet, its indifference a heavy weight. The sisters' despair hangs thick, their future uncertain. They've been betrayed, stripped of everything, left to face a land that breaks the weak. But the land is watching. And so is someone else, out there in the vastness of the Lakota's domain. A new chapter waits, one that will test their courage and reshape their souls. The sun climbs high over the prairie, turning the air thick and heavy like a weight pressing down on the world. Clara, Lila, and Nora stumble through the endless grass, their steps slow and unsteady. It's been 2 days since their husbands left them, 2 days with no food, no water, only the torn blanket they clutch against the burning sun. The prairie is a cruel maze, its golden waves hiding no mercy. Every gust of wind taunts them, whispering of rivers that aren't there, of hope just out of reach. Their lips crack, their throats burn, and their bodies beg to stop. But Clara keeps them moving, her voice a steady anchor in the storm of their despair. Clara's eyes scan the horizon, searching for anything, a tree, a stream, a sign of life. Her jaw still aches from Elliot's blow, but she pushes the pain down, focusing on her sisters. Lila drags her feet, her face pale, her breath shallow. She's always been the gentle one, the one who could find beauty in a wilted flower, but now she looks like she's fading with every step. Nora, though younger, keeps pace, her defiance battling the exhaustion in her eyes. She hums a faint tune, a habit from better days, but it's weak, barely audible over the rustling grass. They've walked for hours, maybe miles, though. The prairie makes it hard to tell. The land stretches on unchanging, a sea of gold and green that feels alive watching them struggle. Clara's boots are worn thin, her feet blistered, but she doesn't complain. She can't. If she falters, Lila and Nora will too, and she won't let that happen. "Keep going," she says, her voice hoarse but firm. "We're all we've got." Lila nods, her eyes distant, but she stumbles, her knees buckling. Clara catches her, easing her to the ground. "I can't go on," Lila whispers, her voice breaking, tears pooling in her eyes. Clara kneels beside her, brushing sweat-soaked hair from Lila's face. "You can," she says, her tone soft but unyielding. "You're stronger than you know." Lila shakes her head, her hands trembling as she clutches the blanket. "I'm not like you, Clara. I'm tired, so tired." The words cut deep, but Clara hides the ache, squeezing Lila's shoulder. "Rest a moment, then we move again." She looks to Nora, who's staring at the horizon, her face tight with worry. "Nora, stay with her. I'll scout ahead." Nora nods, sitting beside Lila, her hand resting on her sister's arm. Clara stands shielding her eyes against the sun and walks a few paces forward. The prairie is silent save for the buzz of insects and the faint whistle of the wind. She squints, hoping for a glint of water, a shadow of trees, anything to keep them alive. Her stomach twists with hunger, her mouth so dry it feels like sand. She's about to turn back when Nora's voice cuts through the quiet. "Clara, look." Clara spins around, following Nora's pointing finger. Far in the distance, a shimmer catches the light, a thin ribbon of silver snaking through the grass. A river. Clara's heart leaps, but doubt creeps in. They've seen mirages before, tricks of the heat that vanish when you get close. Nora scrambles to her feet, her eyes wide. "It's real, isn't it? Tell me it's real." Clara hesitates, her hope warring with fear. Maybe she says, helping Lila stand. Let's find out. They move toward the shimmer, their steps quicker, now driven by a spark of possibility. The grass grows taller, brushing their waists, and the air feels cooler, fresher. But as they draw closer, the shimmer fades, blending into the heat haze. Nora stops, her shoulders slumping. "It's gone," she whispers, her voice cracking. "It was never there." Clara's chest tightens, but she forces a steady tone. "We keep going. There's something out there. I know it." But doubt gnaws at her, and the prairie seems to mock their hope, its vastness swallowing their courage. Lila sways her legs, giving out again. This time she collapses fully, her body limp in the grass. Clara drops to her knees, shaking her. "Lila, stay with me." "Please?" Lila's eyes flutter half open, her breath faint. Nora kneels too, her hands shaking as she touches Lila's face. "She's burning up," Nora says, panic creeping into her voice. Clara's mind races. They can't lose Lila, not now, not after everything. She tears a strip from the blanket, pressing it to Lila's forehead, but it's dry, useless, without water. The sun beats down relentless, and Clara feels the weight of their situation like a stone on her chest. They're alone, exposed, with no shelter, no strength left. Nora's eyes fill with tears, but she wipes them away, her jaw tight. "What do we do, Clara?" she asks, her voice small. Clara doesn't answer right away, her gaze fixed on the horizon. She wants to promise they'll be okay, but the words stick in her throat. Instead, she pulls Lila closer, cradling her, and whispers, "We wait. Just a little longer." Hours pass, or maybe minutes, time blurring in the heat. Clara's vision swims her head, pounding from thirst. Nora lies beside Lila, her humming stopped, her energy drained. The prairie is quiet, too quiet, as if holding its breath. Clara's eyes drift shut, her body heavy when a faint sound stirs her, a soft thud rhythmic like hooves on earth. She blinks, forcing herself to focus, and sees shadows moving against the sun, dark shapes cresting a distant hill. Her heart jumps, fear and hope colliding. "Nora," she croaks, shaking her sister. Someone's coming. Nora lifts her head, squinting, and gasps. People on horses. Clara tries to stand, but her legs wobble, and she falls back, clutching Lila. The shapes grow clearer. 3 riders, tall and lean, their horses strong and sure. They wear buckskin adorned with beads, their long hair tied back, feathers glinting in the light. Lakota. Clara's breath catches. She's heard stories, tales of fierce warriors who strike like lightning, but also of their honor, their bond with the land. Now they're here riding straight toward them. The lead rider pulls his horse to a stop a few yards away, his presence commanding his eyes sharp and piercing. This is Hawk, a Lakota warrior of 30, his face calm but intense, like a storm held in check. Behind him rides Gray, Owl, an elder of 50, his lined face radiating wisdom, and Swift Fox, a young warrior of 22, his gaze hard, his body tense with suspicion. Clara tries to speak, but her throat is too dry, her words a rasp. She raises a hand, palm out, a weak gesture of peace. Hawk dismounts his boots soft on the grass and kneels beside them. His eyes take in their bruised faces, their torn clothes, the desperation clinging to them like dust. He speaks in Lakota, his voice low and steady, and words appear in the air translated for us. The earth does not abandon its children. He unties a water skin from his belt and hands it to Clara. Her hands shake as she takes it, the leather cool against her skin. She tips it to her lips, the water sharp and life-giving, rushing over her parched tongue. She drinks deeply, then passes it to Nora, who sips carefully, her eyes never leaving the warriors. Nora hands the water to Lila, gently lifting her head. Lila moans, her lips parting as Nora pours a trickle into her mouth. The water revives her just enough, and her eyes flutter open, confused but alive. Clara looks at Hawk, her voice barely a whisper. "Thank you." He nods, his expression unreadable, but there's a warmth in his gaze, a flicker of compassion that unsettles her. She's not used to kindness, not without a price. Swift Fox shifts on his horse, his scowl deepening. He speaks in Lakota, his tone sharp, and the translation reads, "They're settlers. They bring trouble." His words sting, but Clara can't argue. She knows how settlers are seen, how their kind have clashed with the Lakota, taking land, breaking promises. Gray Owl, still mounted, responds, his voice calm but firm. To help is to honor the Creator. The words carry weight, a glimpse into the Lakota way, a principle called Wachakie generosity that binds them to the earth and each other. Hawk stands gesturing to his men. "We take them," he says in Lakota, and the translation confirms his decision. Clara's heart races. Can they trust these strangers? But what choice do they have? They're too weak to walk, too frail to fight. Hawk kneels again, his hands gentle as he lifts, Lila carrying her to his horse. Gray Owl dismounts, helping Nora, his touch steady, like a father guiding a child. Swift Fox hesitates, his jaw tight, but he offers Clara a hand, pulling her up behind him. She grips his waist, her body trembling, unsure if this is salvation or a new kind of danger. The horses move their hooves, kicking up dust as they ride across the prairie. Clara clings to Swift Fox, and the wind whipping her hair, the world blurring past in streaks of gold and green. Lila lies limp in Hawk's arms, her breathing shallow but steady. Nora rides with Gray Owl, her eyes wide, taking in the vastness of the land. The journey is long, the sun dipping low, casting long shadows across the grass. Clara's mind spins with questions. Who are these men? Why help them? But for now she's alive. Her sisters are alive, and that's enough. As they crest a hill, a valley opens below, cradling a Lakota village that hums with life. Teepees stand in neat rows, their hides painted with symbols of the sun and stars. Cooking fires send smoke curling into the sky, carrying the rich smell of roasted meat and fresh earth. Children dart between the teepees, their laughter bright, their bare feet kicking up dirt. Women move with quiet grace, weaving baskets, grinding corn, stirring pots over the flame. Warriors sharpen arrows, their hands steady, their eyes alert. It's a world alive with sound and motion, so different from the brutal, lonely life the sisters have known. Hawk leads them to a small tipi at the village's edge, its place marking them as outsiders. He sets Lila down gently, and Gray Owl helps Nora dismount. Swift Fox releases Clara, his gaze still wary, but he says nothing. A woman approaches her face, kind, her hands strong from years of work. She offers a basket of dried meat and a gourd of water, her nod silent but warm. Clara takes the food, her stomach growling, and murmurs, "Thank you." The woman leaves, and the sisters settle inside the teepee, the hide walls shielding them from the wind. They eat slowly, savoring the meat, the water soothing their throats. Lila's color returns, her breathing steadier, but she's quiet, her eyes fixed on the ground. Nora chews thoughtfully, her curiosity stirring as she glances at the village through the teepee's flap. Clara watches them both, her mind heavy. They're safe for now, but safety feels fragile. She notices eyes on them. Villagers glancing their way. Some curious, others cautious. A man steps forward, his face hard, his voice sharp as he speaks to Hawk. This is Blackthorn, a warrior of 35. His distrust, clear, his words translated. Cut deep. They'll betray us like their kind always do. Hawk meets Blackthorn's gaze, his voice calm but firm. They stay, he says, and the translation confirms his resolve. Blackthorn snorts, turning away, but his warning lingers. Clara feels the weight of his words, the tension of being strangers in a place they don't understand. She looks at her sisters, their faces lit by the soft glow of the teepee's fire. Lila clutches the gourd, her hands still trembling. Nora's eyes wander, drawn to the village's rhythm. Clara's heart aches, but a spark of hope flickers. They're not alone anymore. The Lakota live by a code, one that binds them to the earth, to each other, to something greater. They share, they protect, they listen to the heartbeat of the land. Clara doesn't know their ways, not yet, but she feels the pulse of this place, the strength in its people. Can 3 broken women find a place among them? Can they heal, or will the shadows of their past follow them here? The village hums around them, alive with possibility, but danger lurks unseen, waiting to test their newfound refuge. The Lakota village hums with life, a heartbeat of its own. Pulsing through the teepees, the cooking fires, the laughter of children. For Clara, Lila, and Nora, it's a strange new world, one that feels both foreign and alive with possibility. Days have passed since their rescue, and the bruises on their faces are fading, but the scars inside linger. They're guests here, given a teepee food and water, but they're also outsiders, watched closely by eyes that hold both curiosity and doubt. The sisters stand at a crossroads, unsure if this place will be their salvation or just another trap. Yet bit by bit they begin to find their place, their spirits stirring under the Lakota's quiet strength. Clara wakes each morning to the soft glow of dawn, the prairie stretching golden beyond the village. She's wary, her heart guarded after years of betrayal. Hawk's kindness, his steady presence, unsettles her. She's learned to expect a price for every favor, a demand behind every smile. But Hawk asks for nothing, only watches her with eyes that seem to see more than she wants to show. One morning he finds her by the river, her hands tracing the water's edge. "Come," he says, his voice low. "I'll show you something." She hesitates, her instincts screaming caution, but curiosity pulls her along. He leads her into the grasslands, teaching her to track animals, to read the earth's subtle signs. "The earth speaks if you listen," he says, pointing to a faint hoofprint in the dirt. Clara kneels, her fingers brushing the mark, feeling the land's story under her touch. Hawk shows her how to spot bent grass, broken twigs, the faint trail of a deer. She listens, her mind sharp, absorbing his words. For the first time she feels a connection to the prairie, not as an enemy, but as a living thing full of secrets waiting to be understood. Back at the village, Hawk teaches her a Lakota prayer, a quiet chant to honor the land. Tunkasila. Grandfather's spirit guide us. He murmurs his voice blending with the wind. Clara repeats the words, halting at first, her tongue stumbling over the unfamiliar sounds. But as she speaks, she feels a shift, a warmth spreading through her chest. The prayer is simple, a way to thank the earth for its gifts, to ask for strength. It's not like the rigid hymns she knew growing up full of rules and guilt. This feels alive, like breathing with the world. Clara's distrust softens just a little as she begins to respect the Lakota's wisdom, their way of seeing the earth as a partner, not a thing to conquer. Lila, meanwhile, finds solace in the village's rhythm. Her gentle hands, seeking purpose. The memory of Marcus's cruelty haunts her, his fists leaving echoes that wake her at night. She's quiet, her words few, but her eyes follow the Lakota women as they work their hands weaving baskets, sewing hides, tending fires. One day, an elder named Singing Bird notices her watching. The woman's face is lined with years, her eyes kind but sharp, like she sees the pain Lila carries. "Come," Singing Bird says, patting the ground beside her, "sit with me." Lila hesitates, her hands twisting in her lap, but she joins the elder sitting cross-legged by a wooden loom. Singing Bird hands her a bundle of dyed threads, their colors rich with earth tones. Every thread holds a story. She says, her voice soft but steady, "Weave your pain into strength." Lila's fingers tremble as she touches the threads, unsure, but Singing Bird guides her, showing her how to loop and pull to create patterns that flow like rivers. The work is slow, deliberate, and Lila finds a rhythm, her hands steadier with each pass. As days turn to weeks, Lila weaves a blanket, its colors a mix of deep reds, soft blues, and warm yellows. Each stitch feels like a step away from Marcus, a way to reclaim the pieces of herself he tried to break. Singing Bird watches, nodding quietly. "You're telling your story," she says one evening as Lila holds up the half-finished blanket, its patterns glowing in the firelight. Lila smiles, small but real, the first true smile since the Prairie claimed her old life. The blanket becomes her anchor, a symbol of her spirit, rebuilding thread by thread. Nora, the youngest, can't stay still. Her curiosity pulls her through the village, her eyes bright with questions. She's drawn to Swift Fox, the young warrior with a scowl that hides a fire she recognizes. He's often at the edge of the village practicing archery, his movements precise, his arrows slicing the air. Nora watches, fascinated, mimicking his stance when she thinks no one sees. One day he catches her, his dark eyes narrowing. "What are you doing?" He snaps, his voice sharp. Nora grins, undeterred, pulling an imaginary bowstring. "Learning," she says, her tone playful. Swift Fox scoffs, turning away, but Nora doesn't give up. She trails him, asking about his bow, his arrows, the way he aims. He ignores her at first, his jaw tight, but her persistence wears him down. "Fine," he says, thrusting a spare bow into her hands. "Try it." "But don't waste my time." Nora takes the bow. Her hands clumsy, the string heavy. Her first shot goes wide, thudding into the dirt. Swift Fox shakes his head. "A bow is like your heart," he says. "Steady or you miss." His words are gruff, but there's a challenge in them, a spark that lights Nora up. She practices daily, her arms aching, her fingers raw, but she improves, her arrows flying straighter, closer to the target. Swift Fox watches his scowl, softening his corrections, less harsh. One afternoon, Nora's arrow hits the target's edge, and he nods, a rare hint of approval. "Not bad," he mutters, and Nora beams, her confidence growing. Their bond deepens, not through teasing, but through shared effort, a quiet respect forming between them. Nora feels alive, her heartbreak easing as she finds strength in the bow in the warrior who sees her potential. The sisters witness the village's heart through a Lakota ceremony, a ritual to honor the buffalo, the lifeblood of the plains. The air is thick with sage smoke, drums pulsing like a heartbeat. Warriors dance their steps strong, while women sing their voices weaving with the wind. Hawk stands with the sisters explaining the principle of mitakuye oyas energy. All are related. We take only what we need. He says, his voice steady, the earth is our family, the buffalo our brother. We honor them and they sustain us. Clara listens, her mind turning over the words so different from the greed she's known. Lila watches the dancers, her hands clutching her half-woven blanket, the ceremony's rhythm soothing her. Nora's eyes follow the warriors, her fingers twitching as if holding a bow. The ceremony ends with a shared meal, the village gathered around fires passing bowls of buffalo stew. Clara takes a bite, the warmth filling her, and feels a pang of belonging, fleeting but real. She turns to Hawk, her voice low. "Why help us?" she asks, her old distrust flaring. He meets her gaze, his eyes calm. "Because you're alive," he says. "That's enough." The words settle in her heavy with meaning, challenging everything she's believed about kindness. But peace is fragile, a thin thread stretched tight. Blackthorn, the warrior who distrusts them, grows louder, his voice carrying through the village. He gathers others, his words sharp, warning that the sisters attract danger. "Settlers bring death," he says one night, his face lit by a council fire. "They'll lead their kind here, and we'll pay the price." Hawk defends them, his voice firm. "They've done no harm," he says, but Blackthorn's followers murmur, their eyes narrowing when the sisters pass. Clara overhears Blackthorn one evening, his voice low as he speaks to a group of warriors. "We must expel them," he says, his tone cold, "before they betray us." The words hit Clara like a stone, her heart pounding. She slips back to the teepee, her mind racing. She tells Lila and Nora, her voice tight. "They want us gone," she says. Lila's hands freeze on her blanket, her eyes wide with fear. "What did we do?" she whispers. Nora clenches her fists, her defiance flaring. "We're not leaving," she says, "not after all this." The sisters sit in the teepee, the fire casting shadows on the hide walls. Clara's mind spins, weighing their options. They could run, but the prairie would claim them. They could fight, but they're no match for warriors. Or they could stay, prove their worth, earn their place. Lila's voice breaks the silence, soft but sure. "This is our home now," she says, her fingers tracing the blanket's patterns. Nora nods, her jaw set, swift. "Fox trusts me. I'm not giving that up." Clara looks at them, her sisters, and feels a surge of pride. They're not the broken women left on the prairie. They're stronger, growing rooted in this place. But the tension grows, a storm brewing beneath the village's calm. Rumors spread of settlers nearby, their wagons spotted on the horizon. Clara's stomach twists, her thoughts flashing to Elliot Marcus, Caleb. Could they have returned? The village feels smaller, the eyes on them sharper. Hawk meets Clara's gaze across a fire one night, his expression unreadable, but there's a question in his eyes, a silent ask for trust. She wants to believe him, to believe in this place, but fear clings to her, a shadow she can't shake. The sisters have found purpose, their spirits weaving into the Lakota's world. Clara's prayers, Lila's blanket, Nora's arrows. They're threads of a new life, fragile but real. But peace is a fleeting guest, and a shadow looms dark and heavy. A secret waits hidden in the earth, ready to test their courage and unravel everything they've built. The village hums on unaware, but Clara feels it, a tremor in the air, a whisper of change that will shake their world to its core. The Lakota village rests under a pale morning sky, its teepees glowing softly in the dawn light. Clara steps outside, her breath visible in the cool air, her mind heavy with the tension that's been growing. Blackthorn's words echo in her head, his warning that she and her sisters will bring ruin. The village feels like a fragile sanctuary, a place where they've begun to heal, but the weight of being outsiders presses harder each day. Clara's hands tighten around a bundle of firewood she's gathered, her heart torn between hope and fear. She's about to head back to the teepee when her foot catches on something hard buried in the earth. She kneels, brushing away dirt, and uncovers a smooth red stone, its surface warm despite the morning chill. It's unlike anything she's seen, its edges carved with faint patterns glowing faintly, as if holding a piece of the sun. Clara's breath catches her fingers tracing the stone's curves. It feels sacred, alive, and she knows it doesn't belong to her. She glances around the village, still quiet, and tucks the stone into her shawl, her heart pounding. Something tells her this discovery will change everything for better or worse. Inside the teepee, Lila and Nora are awake, their faces lit by the small fire. Clara sets the firewood down and pulls out the stone. Holding it up, "Look at this," she says, her voice low. Lila leans closer, her eyes wide. "It's beautiful," she murmurs, her fingers hovering over the stone, afraid to touch it. Nora tilts her head, curious but cautious. "Where did you find it?" she asks. Clara explains her words. "Careful. Near the teepee, buried. It's not ours, but it means something. I can feel it." The sisters sit in silence, the stone's weight filling the space, a mystery they can't ignore. Hawk arrives at the teepee, his presence steady as always. Clara shows him the stone, her hand steady but her heart racing. His eyes widen, a flicker of awe crossing his face. "Chang Nu Ng Pa," he says, his voice reverent, sacred pipestone. "It was stolen from our people years ago by settlers." He takes the stone, holding it gently like a child. "This is a gift from the Creator, used in our ceremonies to connect with the spirits." Clara listens, her mind spinning. The stone is more than a relic. It's a piece of the Lakota's soul, and she's stumbled into its story. Before Hawk can say more, Blackthorn's voice cuts through the morning, sharp and angry. He strides toward the teepee, followed by a group of warriors, their faces hard. "You," he barks, pointing at Clara thieves, "you took our sacred stone to sell, didn't you?" The accusation hits like a slap, and Clara steps back, her hands raised. "We didn't steal it," she says, her voice firm. "I found it buried by our teepee." Black. Thorn snorts his eyes, blazing lies. "Settlers like you take everything. You'll bring death to us all." The warriors murmur their distrust, growing, and Clara feels the village's warmth turn cold. Lila clutches her blanket, her face pale, while Nora stands beside Clara, her fists clenched. "We're not thieves," Nora says, her voice sharp. "We'd never do that." But Blackthorn ignores her, turning to Hawk. "They must go," he says, his tone final. "They've defiled our sacred stone. They'll lead settlers here to take more." Hawk's jaw tightens, but he holds the stone steady, his voice calm. "We'll call a council," he says. "The elders will decide their fate." Blackthorn glares unsatisfied, but nods, stalking away with his followers. Clara's stomach twists as Hawk hands her the stone, his eyes searching hers. "Keep it safe," he says. "The council will hear you." She nods, clutching the stone, its warmth grounding her. "We're not thieves," she says, her voice fierce. "We'll return it to your people." "I swear it." Hawk's gaze softens, a silent trust passing between them, but the weight of Blackthorn's accusation lingers. Clara knows the council will be their chance to prove their worth, but it could also be their end, a step toward banishment into the merciless prairie. As the village prepares for the council, Nora slips away, her curiosity pulling her to the river's edge. She's restless, her mind on Swift Fox on the bow he's teaching her to wield. But as she gazes across the water, a glint catches her eye. A wagon in the distance, its canvas flapping in the wind. Her heart stops. She squints. Recognizing the horse tied to it, a black stallion with a white blaze. Caleb's horse. Her breath catches fear flooding her. "They're back," she whispers, her voice trembling. She runs back to the village, her feet pounding the earth, her mind racing with one thought. Her husband, her betrayer, is near, and he's not alone. Nora bursts into the teepee, her face flushed, her words tumbling out. "Clara, Lila, I saw a wagon. It's Caleb's horse. They're back and they'll kill us." Clara sets the stone down, her hand steady despite the panic rising in her chest. "Slow down," she says, gripping Nora's shoulders. "Tell me everything." Nora explains, her voice shaking. "It's not just them. There are others. Men with guns, they're camped by the river." Lila's eyes widen, her hands trembling as she pulls her blanket close. "Why would they come back?" she whispers. Clara's mind races, piecing it together. The stone, rumors of its value must have reached them, drawing them like vultures to a prize. Clara steps outside, her eyes scanning the horizon. The prairie looks peaceful, but she feels the threat, a shadow creeping closer. She finds Hawk by the council fire, his face tense as he speaks with Gray Owl. She tells him about the wagon, the men, the danger. Hawk listens, his expression unreadable, but Gray Owl steps forward, his voice calm, like a river over stones. "Truth is like the wind," he says, his eyes meeting Clara's. "It cannot be held, only felt. Speak yours at the council. The Creator will guide us." His words settle in her, a spark of courage amidst the fear. She nods, determined to face the elders to prove their innocence and protect the stone. The village buzzes with tension as the council nears. Warriors sharpen arrows, women whisper by the fires, and children sense the unease. Their laughter quiet her. Clara wraps the stone in a cloth, hiding it in the teepee. Her hands steady, but her heart pounding. She thinks of Gray Owl's words of the wind of truth. She's spent years hiding her pain, her fear, but now she must speak, not just for herself, but for Lila, for Nora, for the Lakota who've given them a chance. The council will be a battle of words, a chance to weave their story into the village's heart, but the threat beyond the river looms dark and deadly. Nora paces the teepee, her fingers twitching as if holding a bow. "What if they attack before the council?" she asks, her voice tight. Clara shakes her head, her jaw set. "We'll face one fight at a time," she says. "First we clear our names." Lila, usually silent, speaks up, her voice soft but sure. "We've survived worse," she says, her hands tracing the blanket's patterns. "We'll survive this." Clara looks at her sisters, their faces lit by the fire, and feels a surge of pride. They're not the women left to die on the prairie. They're fighters bound by blood and courage. Hawk visits the teepee that evening, his presence a quiet anchor. He tells Clara the council will meet at dawn, the elders ready to hear her. "Speak from here," he says, touching his chest. "The truth will carry." Clara nods, her throat tight. She wants to ask about the settlers, the danger, but Hawk's eyes hold a promise, a vow to protect them. She clings to that even as fear gnaws at her. The stone, the council, the men by the river, their threads in a tightening knot, pulling the sisters toward a reckoning they can't escape. The night deepens, the village quiet but restless. Clara sits by the fire, the stone in her hands, its warmth a reminder of the trust she's been given. Lila weaves her blanket, each stitch a prayer for strength. Nora sharpens a stick, her mind on Swift Fox, on the bough that's become her shield. The prairie stretches beyond the teepee, its silence heavy with secrets. Clara thinks of the settlers of Caleb's horse, of the outlaws who've joined her husband's betrayal. They're not here for her, not really. They want the stone, its rumored value, a lure for their greed, but they'll find more than they expect. A village ready to defend its heart, and 3 sisters who've learned to fight. The council looms, a chance to prove their worth, but the danger by the river grows a storm, gathering strength. Clara closes her eyes, Gray Owl's words echoing. Truth is like the wind. She'll speak her truth for her sisters, for the Lakota, for the stone that's tied their fates together. But the outlaws are close, their shadows creeping nearer, and the sisters' past is about to collide with their present in a way no one can predict. A sacred stone, a false accusation, and a deadly threat wait in the balance. Can the sisters prove their worth before the past catches up, or will the prairie claim them once more? The dawn breaks over the Lakota village, painting the teepees in soft gold, but the air is thick with tension. Clara stands outside her teepee, the sacred Changnunjipa stone wrapped in a cloth, its weight heavy in her hands. Today is the council the moment she must face the elders and prove her sister's innocence. Blackthorn's accusation that they stole the stone to sell hangs like a storm cloud, threatening to tear them from this fragile sanctuary. Lila and Nora stand beside her, their faces set with quiet resolve. The village stirs, warriors sharpening arrows, women whispering prayers, children watching with wide eyes. Clara takes a deep breath. Gray Owl's words echoing in her mind. Truth is like the wind. Speak yours. The council gathers by the central fire, a circle of elders seated on woven mats. Their faces carved with wisdom and years, Hawk stands at the edge, his presence steady, while Blackthorn looms nearby, his scowl unwavering. Clara steps forward, the stone in her hands, her heart pounding, but her voice clear. "We didn't steal this," she says, holding up the cloth-wrapped relic. "I found it buried near our teepee. It belongs to you, to your people. We'd never take what's sacred." Her words carry across the circle, firm and honest, and the elders lean forward, listening. Lila steps up, her hands clutching her half-woven blanket, her voice soft but steady. "We were betrayed," she says, her eyes meeting the elders. "Our husbands left us to die on the prairie. You gave us a home, a chance. We'd never repay that with theft." Her words tremble, but they hold truth, raw and unbroken. Nora follows her, chin high, her defiance shining. "We've learned from you," she says, "from your ways, your strength. We're not here to take. We're here to belong." The elders murmur, their faces unreadable, but Clara sees a flicker of warmth in their eyes, a crack in the wall of doubt. Swift Fox, standing among the warriors, steps forward, his voice cutting through the murmurs. "I've seen them fight," he says, his gaze on Nora. "They fight like us, for family, for honor. They're not thieves." His words surprise Clara, his usual scowl replaced by conviction. Nora's cheeks flush, but she holds his gaze, a silent bond between them. Hawk nods, his voice calm but firm. "They've shown respect," he says. "Let the stone decide their place." The elders confer, their voices low, and Clara clutches the stone tighter, hope and fear warring in her chest. Before the council can decide, a shout breaks the morning, sharp and urgent. A young warrior runs into the circle, his face flushed. "Settlers," he cries, "wagons by the river, armed men." Clara's heart stops, Nora's warning flashing in her mind. Caleb's horse, the outlaws, the danger creeping closer. The village erupts. Warriors grabbing bows, women ushering children to safety. Hawk's eyes meet Clara's, a silent command passing between them. She knows what she must do. The stone, the source of this storm, must be protected no matter the cost. Clara slips away as the village prepares, her sisters at her heels. "We can't let them take it," she says, unwrapping the stone. "It's why they're here." Nora nods, her jaw set. Caleb's with them. "I know it." Lila's hands tremble, but she squares her shoulders. "What's the plan?" she asks. Clara thinks fast, her mind racing. "We hide it," she says, "by the river where they won't look. Then we draw them away." It's a desperate gamble, but the stone is the village's heart, and she'll guard it with her life. Under the cover of dusk, the sisters steal toward the river, the stone cradled in Clara's hands. The prairie is alive with shadows, the air thick with the threat of violence. They reach the riverbank. Its waters dark and swift, and Clara kneels, digging a shallow hole beneath a gnarled root. She places the stone inside, covering it with earth, her hands steady, despite the fear clawing at her. "Stay here," she tells Lila and Nora. "If I don't come back, tell Hawk where it is." Lila grabs her arm, her eyes wide. "Don't go alone," she whispers. Clara shakes her head, her voice firm. "I have to keep her safe." "Nora." Clara moves through the grass, her steps silent, her heart pounding. She reaches the edge of the outlaw camp, its fires casting long shadows. There they are, Elliot, Marcus. Caleb surrounded by a band of rough men, their faces hard, their guns glinting. Unlike the men who abandoned her, these are no longer just husbands. They're outlaws, driven by greed for the stone's rumored value. Clara overhears Elliot, his voice low and cruel. The stone's worth a fortune. We take it, burn the village, and leave no one to tell. Her blood runs cold, but she steps into the light, her voice loud. You want the stone? You'll have to catch me first. The outlaws turn startled, and Elliot's face twists into a snarl. You? He spits, lunging toward her. Clara runs her feet, pounding the earth, leading them away from the river, from the stone. The outlaws give chase, their shouts echoing, but she's fast. Her months on the prairie hardening her body. She weaves through the grass, her breath burning until Elliot corners her in a clearing, his gun raised. You're mine, he growls, his eyes glinting with malice. Clara stands tall, her voice steady. I belong to no one, she says, her hands gripping a Lakota staff she's carried its wood, smooth from Hawk's training. Back at the village, the attack begins, a chaotic skirmish under the moonlight. Outlaws charge their guns, blazing, but the Lakota warriors are ready, their arrows swift, their movements precise. Hawk leads the defense, his bow drawn, his voice rallying the warriors. Swift Fox fights beside him, his arrows finding their marks, but an outlaw aims at his back unseen. Nora, hidden in the shadows, draws her bow, her hands steady from weeks of practice. She looses an arrow, striking the outlaw down, saving Swift Fox. He turns his eyes, meeting hers, a nod of gratitude passing between them. Lila near the teepees sees Marcus among the attackers, his face twisted with rage. Her heart races, memories of his fists flooding back, but she refuses to cower. She grabs a burning branch from a fire, waving it to draw his attention. Over here, she shouts, her voice stronger than she feels. Marcus charges his focus on her, and she leads him toward a trap set by the warriors, a pit hidden by grass. He stumbles, falling, and the warriors seize him, binding his hands. Lila stands trembling but unbroken, her fear giving way to triumph. Clara faces Elliot alone. The clearing silence save for their heavy breaths. He swings his gun, but she ducks her staff, cracking against his wrist, sending the weapon flying. He roars, tackling her, but she twists free, her training with Hawk guiding her. She strikes again, the staff hitting his knees, and he falls gasping. She stands over him, her chest heaving, the staff raised. You left me to die, she says, her voice low. I could end you now. Elliot's eyes widen, fear replacing his arrogance, but Clara lowers the staff. Go, she says. The earth will judge you. He scrambles to his feet, fleeing into the night, a shadow swallowed by the prairie. The battle rages on, but the Lakota's strength prevails. Hawk and Swift Fox lead a counterattack, their warriors driving the outlaws back. Caleb, seeing the tide turn, mounts his horse and flees his band, scattering into the darkness. The village falls quiet, the fires smoldering the air, thick with sage and gunpowder. Clara returns, her face bruised, but her spirit unbroken, and finds her sisters by the river. Lila embraces her, tears in her eyes, while Nora grips her bow, her face alight with pride. We did it, Nora says, and Clara nods, her throat tight. Hawk approaches, his eyes searching hers. The stone, he asks. Clara leads him to the riverbank, unearthing the Chang Nu On Ji Pa, its red glow untouched by the chaos. They carry it to the village where the elders wait by a sacred altar. Sage smoke rising in curls. Clara places the stone on the altar, her hand steady, and steps back. The village watching in silence. Blackthorn, his face softened by what he's seen, steps forward. I was wrong, he says, his voice low. You are kin. The words hit Clara like a wave, her eyes stinging with tears she's held back for too long. The elders chant, their voices blending with the wind, honoring the stone's return. The village gathers warriors, women, children, their faces lit by the fire's glow. Clara stands with Lila and Nora, their hands link, their hearts full. They've faced betrayal, accusations, and battle, but they've emerged stronger bound to this place, to these people. The Lakota's values, compassion, honor, the belief that all are related, have woven into their souls, guiding them through the fire. In the battle's heat, the sisters found their truth not just as survivors, but as part of something greater. The stone rests where it belongs, the village safe, the outlaws gone. But one question lingers heavy in the air. Will the Lakota see them as family, or will they forever be outsiders? Their place uncertain. The answer waits not in words, but in the quiet strength of the people around them, in the prairie that stretches beyond, alive with secrets and second chances. The Lakota village glows under the first light of dawn, its teepees standing strong against the prairie's endless sweep. Clara, Lila, and Nora stand together, their faces softened by the warmth of a new day. The battle is over. The sacred stone returned, and the outlaws gone, scattered like dust on the wind. The air is sweet with sage and hope, but the sisters carry the weight of their journey. Their scars, a map of survival. Yet here among the Lakota, they've found something more than safety. They've found a home. The elders call them to the council. Tipi. Its walls adorned with symbols of the sun and stars. Hawk stands beside them, his presence steady, while gray owl and swift fox watch with quiet pride. The head elder, a woman with silver hair and eyes like deep pools, steps forward. She looks at Clara, her voice warm but strong. You guarded our heart, she says, meaning the Chang Nu Ngpa stone. You fought for us as kin. From this day you are star, woman, for your courage, lights the way. Clara's throat tightens, tears prickling her eyes. The name feels like a gift, a tether to this place. Lila is next, her woven blanket clutched in her hands, its colors vibrant in the firelight. The elder takes it, her fingers tracing the patterns. This holds your spirit, she says. Your pain, your strength. It belongs here. She hangs the blanket on the teepee's wall, a place of honor among the council's treasures. Lila's eyes shine, her quiet heart lifted by the gesture. Nora steps forward, her bow at her side, and the elder smiles. You have a warrior's aim, she says. Train with our archers. Your place is earned. Nora grins, her defiance softened by belonging her bond with Swift Fox, a silent promise of growth. The village gathers to celebrate fires, crackling, drums, pulsing voices rising in song. Children dance their laughter, weaving through the air, while warriors share stories of the battle. Clara, Lila, and Nora sit among them no longer. Outsiders, their faces lit by the glow. Hawk joins Clara. His words simple but deep. You've always been part of the circle, he says. You just had to find it. Clara nods, her heart full. They stay not for love, but for something stronger, a sense of family, of roots sinking deep into this land. As the celebration fades, Lila pulls her sisters aside, her hands resting on her stomach, her voice soft. I'm carrying a child, she says, her eyes steady despite the pain behind them. From Marcus. But this baby will know love, not pain. I'll raise it here with Lakota ways. Clara embraces her, tears falling, while Nora grips her hand, fierce and proud. You're not alone, Nora says. Lila smiles, her fear giving way to hope, the village's strength, her shield. The sisters walk to the river, the water shimmering under the rising sun. They carry smooth stones, a Lakota ritual to release the past. Clara kneels, her stone cool in her hand, and whispers, We're free. She tosses it into the current, watching it sink, her heart lighter. Lila follows her stone, carrying Marcus's cruelty, her voice a quiet vow. For you, my child. Nora's stone splashes last, her grin defiant. No more looking back, she says. The river carries their burdens away, its flow a song of renewal. The Lakota taught them a truth woven into their lives like threads in Lila's blanket. Wochekie, generosity is strength. A gift that binds hearts, mitakuye oyasi. In all are related ties them to the earth, to each other, to the buffalo grazing in the distance. Kindness is not weakness, but a fire that warms the soul. The sisters stand on a hill joined by hawk-gray owl and swift fox. Watching the sunrise paint the prairie gold. Below the village thrives children laughing, fires burning, life flowing like the river. The prairie tests the heart, but the Lakota showed them the way to live is to love. To heal is to belong. Clara, Lila, and Nora, once broken, now stand whole. Their story. A whisper carried by the wind, a tale of courage, family, and a new dawn. Their journey lives on, etched in the land, in the hearts of those who call them kin.